So I hope everyone can see my screen. Welcome to this evening. I quickly introduced myself earlier. My name is Robin Chang. I'm from the Chair of Planning Theory and Urban Development at the Faculty of Architecture from RWTH Aachen University. As Stefan mentioned, we work together in Work Package 6 for the Transdisciplinary Living Labs project or portion of work from Enhance. Enhance is an alliance of European universities of technology, and we have the mandate as well as the aim to bring together knowledge, competencies in science and technology for the benefit of transformation and for the benefit of society. So we're happy tonight to be able to bring everyone together to share our experiences, but also reflect together on an event that we had earlier this year in February 2025. Walk and talk experience. And we're very happy to be able to also include members of Euroturk here today, Mehmet as well as Eyüp. They will also be part of our presentation later on, along with students here today. So Alexandra, Natalia, and Venka. But without further ado, we'll jump into our event. So just to give you an idea, we are taking a bit of a chunk of this evening, so 2 hours, but we've already started out with our introductions and the welcome, and we'll go through a recap of the Walk and Talk event, including experiences from students, as well as local representatives, and then go through an actual reflection section after a break. Before coming back together and sharing what we've learned together, and then closing the evening with ideas for next steps. So we've already gone through the arrival and welcome. We're really happy to be able to have everyone here today to, as I said, number one, report back on what we did. We think it's important to share what we experienced, how we interacted, and what we learned. And how this will feed into a form of output that will be shared and made available to members of not only Enhance, but also the community and other future scholars, practitioners, or students. More importantly, we also want to reflect and think about how we can improve on the experiences that we had, and also perhaps improve in the form of actual guiding documents for other future organizers. We've had a couple of experiences here in Aachen and hope to make this a regular part of the way that we teach and learn, but also work with the community together. So we'll begin by jumping into the report back right away. And we'll have an opportunity for the 4 core members of the report back team today to share a little bit about what we did. So some images to illustrate how we came together and how we interacted. The event that we had at the end of February 2025 was an opportunity for us to open discussions and spaces for thinking and talking, in particular about diversity and inclusion in Aachen in the context of Smart City Living Labs. So for this event, as you can see in our photos here, we had participants that included students as well as scholars and staff from the Enhance University Alliance Network. We also had members of the local community, so representatives from Euroturk, a German-Turkish association, were really helpful and very collaborative in bringing in their insights and how they experienced smart city, or even the lack of smart city development in specific parts of Aachen. So we focused on the districts of the Ostviertel and Rote Erde. They will speak to that later on. And in the context of Aachen, we looked at inclusion and diversity, but how this referred to smart city initiatives. So according to the city, smart city refers to the ability of a community to not only use technology, but to use intelligent solutions to overcome current and future challenges and take advantage of opportunities to sustainably increase prosperity and quality of life for all. So in this event, we looked at different types of aims, so people-centered outputs in terms of products or technologies, but also processes. As you can see in the photos, some of the processes were a lot more interactive, including Lego as a way for us to haptically interact and produced or generate our visions of what specific spaces in Aachen could look like. We also looked at new technologies in terms of virtual or augmented reality tools, for instance, in the context of automated vehicles and driving or transport planning. In total, we heard from 5 projects based in the city of Aachen. 2 of these came out of the university context, while 1 came out of a civic initiative, and the final 2 came from municipal programs. You can see in the picture in the middle in the top row an example of a municipal context where we had presentations from the city about their Öche Lab as well as their Senioren Cafe, so a cafe meant to help seniors learn about smart city development or technologies or any type of artifacts in that context. We also had activities that were explorative that helped us work with local representatives to map experiences. So we did this in 4 parallel walks, walk and talk sessions, which we'll talk about a little bit more in detail later. So you can see in the top right image with students as well as research tandem teams, we visited sites and took notes, as well as audio and photographic documentation. In the middle, we have an example of one of the resultant maps looking at participation. And we also had the opportunity to look at how we could funnel this experience into teaching and learning as well. So we'll hear from student experiences on this later on. I'll give the opportunity now for my colleagues to share some ideas if they might have. If not, then I will move on to the next slide. So in addition to doing things, we learned quite a lot. The first is that transdisciplinary collaborations, so in the sense of working beyond university discipline boundaries and with people in civil society, with the municipality, is actually welcomed and desired. And that most of these work, but they work better within and according to different schedules. So in a way, university staff, as well as students and professors, are tied to our own schedules and our own way of thinking about how to work together. We have to be a little bit more creative about this and work after hours or maybe even on weekends so that we can include members outside of university. More importantly, these types of collaborations where we work with the community have to be more inclusive in terms of the way that we communicate. So be more cognizant and sensitive to the types of languages that people use. One thing that I didn't mention was that as part of our walk and talk activities and the collaboration with members of Aachen, the effort was made to not only find ways to interpret, so provide German, English translation of insights and anecdotes, but there was also learning about how we also communicate in terms of our text even. So to look at the sensibilities of how we actually create our written communications. In general, transdisciplinary collaborations can affect all university tasks. So this work that we did involved mostly research, and there were attempts to link in teaching as well as knowledge transfer as well. Being able to do this effectively, of course, requires some coordination as well as collaboration. Our students as well as colleagues can speak to some of the experiences with bringing this into the teaching, so the pedagogical realm later on. But more importantly, once we have all of these circumstances set up, then it's important to leverage the connectors within and outside of the universities to make sure that we have representatives from the civil society or communities and to seek out these underrepresented perspectives. So without the representative from our diversity office, Meli, we might not have been able to connect, for instance, with Euroturk at all in the first instance. So being proactive about seeking these connectors and working with them to further link with members of the community is very important. More importantly, of course, in the actual activity, being humble and seeking out ways to learn from communities. We often think coming from university context with research, teaching and learning that we know everything or know a lot of best practices. That might be the case, but that best practice might not be the best practice for the communities within which we're working. So really being open to that and meeting our neighbors really within the cities that we work and not the institutions that we work at is very important. So how did we impact? Well, we have a few images here that we've brought, but my colleague Mehmet will share a few things and insights soon. There's a QR code for the event webpage for those who might want to visit the webpage and then look at the program. What we had in terms of impact was most definitely capturing shared learnings for future initiatives. This particular reflection evening and report back session is also an effort to do this and to institutionalize this. We also had impact both ways in that we learned from the community members as well. And we've also integrated this into more longer term teaching and learning projects too. In this case, Euroturk is also involved in teaching and learning that looks at integrative housing and living concepts. At this point in time, I will invite Mehmet to share a few words on behalf of Euroturk.
Yes, thank you, Robin, for inviting. It's nice to be here. It's nice to be part of this project. Very little contribution, but we are really excited to be part of this community. I am together with Eyüp here. Eyüp is the president of the community, Euroturk. I am in the management board. We are excited to be part of this project. A few words maybe before a few words about Euroturk before my impression about the project. Euroturk is a German-Turkish friendship community. We are volunteers in this community. For example, I'm an engineer working for a company. And in my extra times, I'm trying to contribute to this community because we think it is important. The integration of people, Turkish people, but it doesn't have to be Turkish people. The name implies this, but in general, people who came from elsewhere to Germany or in Europe in general, to help them to integrate better in the society, to contribute to the society. The term integration limits a bit. I think we need to find another word because it's the responsibility of the people who are also coming from outside to contribute positively to the society, to the community, to the country they are going to live. So this integration has many aspects. We are mostly focusing on the cultural aspects, including language and other cultural aspects. But it is, I think, more than that. The technology is also another aspect that we need to focus, and this is a chance for us. So we are living in a time when everything is connected to each other. So we in this project we suggested to have one walk in one part of the city, Aachen, Rote Erde, which is a bit left behind. When one walk in streets in Rote Erde, he feels like, okay, this part of the city is a bit needs more attention. It's like poorer than the other parts, or in several aspects. So it's a chance to highlight this part of the city to get more attention. This was one opportunity. The other is the smart city concept uh, has impact also on um, cultural things like language or other cultural aspects. That's why we are excited to contribute in these aspects. So I have partially taken part in this exercise uh, because of my work, uh, but I find it very inspiring, and many creative ideas are created. So yeah, I'm happy to be present here. Thank you so much, and we are excited to contribute more in the future. Maybe our president, Eurotürk president, would like to add some more words. Eyüp abi, would you like to add something?
Ja, vielen lieben Dank, Robin. Ich verstehe mehr Englisch als ich selber spreche. I do understand more than I speak actively English, so I would like to prefer to speak English, and Robin may translate it as in English, please.
I can do that.
Geht das?
Ja, gern, sonst, ja.
Okay, ja, es hat uns sehr, sehr gefreut, dass wir an diesem Projekt mitwirken konnten. Wir haben auch in unseren Reihen in der deutsch-türkischen Gesellschaft mehrheitlich eine akademische Mitgliedschaft, die auch für so etwas zugänglich sind und auch sich dafür interessieren. Äh, mich interessiert vor allen Dingen in die Zukunft gerichtete Planung, wie dieses Enhance und Smart City Projekte, die genau das beinhalten. Und deswegen war von Anfang an das Konzept, das ihr uns vorgeschlagen habt, dass wir daran wirken, kam gerade richtig wie sagt man, traf der Hammer den Nagel auf den Kopf. Es war zur richtigen Zeit, zum richtigen Ort, mit der richtigen Idee. Und es hat uns sehr gefallen. Es hat uns dazu gebracht, dass wir intensiv daran teilnehmen können. Natürlich mich besonders, insbesondere mit diesem integrativen und Wohn- und Lebenskonzept. Soweit kannst du übersetzen, bitte.
Again, Eyüp. So Eyüp speaks on behalf of Yoda alongside Mehmet to say and express that he's also very happy to have been a part of this initiative, and that the membership also includes those with academic connections or backgrounds. And so in this sense, we're very much also aware of the benefits or the advantages of working in such a collaboration. And of course, there's a strong interest in the future planning and how to continue with the work through this type of an activity supported through Enhance. The suggestions that we had or the invitation and reaching out to work together came at a timely moment and was appropriate in terms of topic. And I think Eyüp, Mehmet, if there's anything I've missed, let me know. But
No, alles gut, alles gut.
Das-
Ja, ergänzend möchte ich noch sagen, uns als deutsch-türkische Gesellschaft, wir verstehen uns nicht als türkisch, nicht als deutsch, sondern eine bildender Verein, Organisation. Und wir nehmen uns der Problematiken, egal von welcher Seite auch kommt, an. Wir haben natürlich auch Mitglieder, die nicht nur türkisch sind, die nicht nur deutsch sind, sondern auch von woanders sind. Für uns sind alle Menschen, die in Aachen wohnen und auch mit Aachen, mit Deutschland, mit der Türkei irgendwie verbunden sind, willkommen. Und deswegen ist dieses Projekt, was eine Stadt in die Zukunft herantragen kann, beziehungsweise Ideen entwickelt, wie man so etwas macht, als Zusammenarbeit mit unserer Organisation aus unserer Sicht sehr, sehr wichtig.
Great. So Eurotürk as a German and Turkish association is open to not just German and Turkish perspectives, but is really a bridge building organization that works interculturally. And so in this sense, there's very much interest as well as anticipation and motivation to look at future ways to work together. And with that, I will transition back to our event today because we will have the opportunity in breakout sessions later on to discuss this, looking at 2 different types of topics. Thank you, Eyüp, as well as Mehmet. I think if it's okay, I would suggest that we maybe move on, but we will have more opportunities to come into exchange later as well. So without
I don't know, I have just spoken a bit general, and Abe also has spoken general for the specific questions. If a specific question arises or if you wonder anything specifically, then please, we would welcome the questions.
Absolutely. And we can provide Eurotürk's email address in the chat during a break that we've got planned as well. So thank you for the insights as well as the impressions on behalf of Eurotürk. I'd like to move on now then to offer students the opportunity to report back on their experiences. So we have here today a team from Aachen, including Alexandra, Lenke, as well as Natalia. So I have your slides ready for the 3 of you. And just give me a signal when I might need to change the slide.
Great, thank you. So yeah, hi everyone. We are Lenke, Natalia, and Alex. And we did not only take part in the walk and talk, but also continued working together afterwards in the enhanced interdisciplinary design course, co-creation of smart city living labs, where we developed our project Roots and Roots. So the design course focused particularly on inclusivity, diversity and equity in smart city living labs, and it included several online phases and ended with the full week in Warsaw in Poland. But our kind of informal kickoff, at least for our team, was the walk and talk in Aachen in February. So in the design project, we were asked to choose a neighborhood in our own city and explore an exclusion problem that we wanted to address. And since we had already explored the neighborhood Aachen Ostviertel and Rote Erde during the walk and talk, it inspired us to continue with this area, which is socio-economically weaker than other parts of Aachen. And one exclusion problem that was mentioned also by members of Eurotürk during our walk was the stigmatization of the neighborhood and its residents. And even if a lot of positive changes happened in recent years, the public image of the neighborhood remains negative. And our own investigation in this topic confirms this, as you can see, for example, in the Google searches or the media reports. And stigmatization has severe consequences. It leads to economic disadvantages, social exclusion, and barriers to opportunities, but most importantly, it reproduces and reinforces the social and spatial inequalities that already exist.
So in order to avoid stigmatization in this neighborhood, our idea is to show all the invisible experiences and information of the local community, the so-called roots. The aim is to express the collected information and experiences in form of local tourism, or more precisely in form of themed routes created by an AI tool. The process starts with a collaborative mapping of voices of the residents and the city of Aachen on past and future change. And this step will mainly take place in a digital space using GIS tools and an app that we would create. Using the content from the digital space, we would create some sort of local tourism in the physical space, the themed routes. And in the end, the goal is to reclaim the medial image in a bottom-up way in the mental space. Consequently, we create value both for the neighborhood and the visitors. The collaborative mapping would increase the identification with the neighborhood and empower those involved to reclaim the narrative in a bottom-up way. And in case of local tourism, we would gain unique, authentic tourism experiences and decrease stigmatization and exclusion. The Walk and Talk event in February formed the foundation of our idea, since it was a great opportunity to connect directly with the local community and learn about their challenges and aspirations. And in the next step, we also discussed our idea with the district manager. Yes, and then we co-created the exact solution and the prototype within our team. And in the last step, we also tested it with users to get some feedback on our prototype. So now let's move on to our prototype. As I mentioned earlier, we talk about an app, and in the first that is called Roots and Roots. And first, the user receives a brief description of the project, and then the user can choose whether to create some content, view the map that shows all the content that was created, or walk by a route. So if you want to add some content, you have to choose if you are a resident of the neighborhood, a business or initiative, or if you are the city of Aachen. Yes, and then you have the opportunity to add your text, or maybe even add a picture on the map. And then there also would be whole map that show all the content that was created by the actors. But if you decide to walk by a route, you can customize your own route by choosing themes that interest you, like culture, nature, or food and drinks, for example. And then the AI tool will create your individual route. Then you will be navigated from station to station, where you can view the information provided, including images, likes, and in some cases, complete optional challenges. And after completing the route, the user is asked to answer a few feedback questions, so the app can be consequently improved. And the route ends with a calendar overview to attract people back to the neighborhood. And in addition to the app and social media, physical marketing elements should also be added in order to involve all people of the community. And these include workshops, posters, stickers, or also a QR code that leads to the app, and postcards, which could be printed and collected at the neighborhood office.
So for us, the most important thing about our project was to share the hidden knowledge that we found in the walk and talk. So that was the source of inspiration for us. We just wanted to share our experience with others and make knowledge, particularly from the recent past and from today's residents, visible in the neighborhood. And another important aspect for us was to focus on positive change in order to present a different view of the neighborhood and to the current stereotype. The whole concept of our project offers many opportunities for collaborations with several other institutions, whether for local experiences, historical knowledge, or evaluation and further processing of data and research. So that also makes our project highly transferable to each of our potential cooperation partners, as well as for other more specific user groups or use cases, as you see here, some examples. Now, the final impacts of the walk and talk on our project. So the first takeaway for us was the value of the in-person team building on the day itself, to really start the project and to get to know each other. But also the walk and talk location offered an insight to a potential focus neighborhood of our project, but also it limited our choice of location because we already had such valuable knowledge about the neighborhood from experts and residents, which allowed us to explore the issues of the neighborhood beyond media biases and include resident perceptions through the bottom-up approach. So it was clearly that we had to use this information for our project and to choose this neighborhood. Regardless of the location of the walk and talk, We think it lowered the barriers for us to go out and work in the field, as it offered a kind of guided approach to get started and get some motivation to really go out there. And most importantly, like we already said, we were inspired through the walk and talk to create our final project and to make this experience, which we had on that day, accessible for others. And I think that shows how valuable the experience was for us. And so we are pretty thankful, and it gave us a good inspiration for our whole project, basically. That's it. Thanks.
Great. So thank you to Alexandra, Natalia, as well as Wenke. We're a little bit behind schedule, but we'd still like to schedule in a break in case anybody needs to get a drink or maybe just go pop to the loo. So we'll have a 5-minute break right now. So we'll see everybody in a bit. Talk about walking talks more generally. Fantastic, great. So in general, there has been established research and work looking at the benefits of walk and talks for not only interviewing, but therapy and learning. So in the sense, it's an effective method in various contexts for community building. It's also helpful because it involves physical and a broader sensory experiences with touch, smell, as well as sight. And it can be combined with different methods, as we have done so, for instance, including mapping. And more important, it encourages to use movement as a way to build connections, social connections in our community and health. So how do we make the most of this method is the aim of what we'd like to learn and think about with everyone today. So what we have planned are 2 focus group discussions or breakout group discussions, which will be hosted by the core group or hosts, members of this report back and reflection today. In the first one, we will look at how do we use walk and talk methods as a way to create new opportunities for local collaboration and give back. So the key word is to look at giving back really to the members of the community. In a second group, we will look at how do we maintain walk and talk activities as a method, a key method at universities. For those of you who might not be familiar with breakout group sessions, we will very shortly, or in a few minutes, split you all into 2 different groups. Please accept the invitation to join these breakout groups. What will happen is that we will have 2 rounds of discussions looking at these 2 questions. In the first round, you will focus on one set of questions at about, I think, because we're a little bit short on time, we will wrap up by minute 18 instead of the 20 that we had planned. We will give you a short warning beforehand, but then the group leaders, so Agnieszka, who will be the moderator, as well as Wang Yu for the 2 groups, as well as Stefan and myself, who will be note-taking, will exit the rooms and switch. So stay in your groups for this next roughly 40-minute session. And this will allow us to engage in a group exercise that is a bit of a reverse World Cafe, where we get to, in an online and digital way, move between different tables and talk about things. We'll be using a Miro board, so a digital note-taking board, to collect the information. Everyone is welcome to take their own notes if they might want to, but if you are not comfortable with using and managing the Miro board, then Stefan, as well as myself, along with Agnieszka and Wang Yu, will be there to capture any opinions that you might have. So for those of you who might want to access the boards themselves, there is a QR code here for you to do so. And a link in the chat has also been shared. Fantastic.
Yes. I see people coming in.
Perfect. And I believe the rooms have already been set up.
Yes, they're set up. I'm just waiting for a go, and I'll also pause the recording during the groups.
We can see the Miro board right now.
Perfect. Yeah, Mehmet, if you if you want to maybe finish your thoughts, I can
Yeah,
add.
I would say that finding the activities and in our example, Euroturk, for example, if some people in this project group are interested in having more contact with Euroturk, then we can inform more about our activities then and record the interests and invite people to the activities, and then we can exchange more. And like this, most of our activities are repetitive, periodic. So it is a chance also to repeat it. Yeah. So it can be an example of how to approach to a community. I have other personal experiences I can also share, but maybe it is not much relevant here. I have because I moved from a country to another country, I wanted to get in contact with several communities, and I think yeah, I use this method, being friendly, sincere, and really having interest in an activity and just contacting them. It worked. Friendship and sincerity then receives also the same. So yeah, this is what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Thanks to you today, Emmett. Okay, so I think what I'll do is I'll take the time, or Agnieszka, would you like to summarize very quickly the things that we've covered in our first group? Okay, I'll try to do this, and feel free to add if I miss anything. In both groups, I think there was a recognition that the quality of the way that we approach communities has to be genuine. So as Mehmet had shared most recently, be sincere, be friendly about your points of mutual interest. What was also very helpful from Emmy is to also look at existing and in your own respective points of contacts and interests. So a lot of us work in academia, but we actually come from, you know, community organizations or members that we can think about giving back to. And these are also perhaps ways that we can build on existing interests and not have to use so much energy. In terms of looking at how we can align understandings with local organizations, both groups definitely said, you know, to take the time and plan the time to ask questions, listen to and hear the communities, and also be considerate of how there might be different experiences that you can share with others to kind of open up that conversation, but at the same time be also maybe open to the extent of the types of walk and talks. A walk and talk can be as simple as maybe two people walking and having, you know, a talk, or it could be what we did with a larger group. But being open to that and perhaps being receptive to it is important. And I think, yeah, also being aware of what we were asking for. So this goes along with the lines of being open to the possible extents. So if we're asking too much, maybe being sensitive to that and adapting and being more flexible to the demands or the capacities of the community organizations and how they can engage. Involving key multipliers, so people or contacts that can either share your experiences, your invitation to others is also very helpful, as well as maybe taking advantage of repeating events. So as a way to not only build an aligned understandings, but really staying committed to the work and ensuring that there's impact. So sticking with the community and making sure that there's also key kind of explanation of what the difference is of the walk and talk method. So the walk and talk method in comparison to other methods is very much a social and embodied, so a physical experience which helps you see, feel things differently. And in this sense, it's very not only mutually beneficial, but it's important to talk about that. And also perhaps maybe not make it a one-time thing, but make it a way to link into a process of multiple events, so that you can continually come back to the same places perhaps and see the change, or look at new things or new issues that can be adapted to or taken into account of. And then also being aware that this is a way that not only helps us see the communities better, but it also helps the community members to see what the potential is with work of that university members, so be that researchers or students do. So giving them insight into our world, and perhaps being also very careful, as well as considerate of the people that we include this. So there are some who might have different backgrounds, age groups, mobility issues. So tailor the walk and talk experience to their needs. But also maybe including people who can be, you know, multipliers for the benefits of the event. So if there are people who are, you know, politically involved or socially also very active, they can help promote the activities of the walk and talk. But most importantly, also coming back and critically thinking about how we can continue building upon the walk and talks, and not just dropping it as a one-time event. This is my very quick summary here.
May I make a very short comment? I didn't know exactly where to place this comment, but I just want to say that maybe let's also not forget that walk and talks are somehow experienced very differently by different participants according to their background. For example, recalling back the walk and talk in Aachen, which was actually my first one that I participated in Enhance. I don't even remember what was the purpose for visiting this neighborhood, because what I remember very clearly is that I found this neighborhood, and this is related to my background, so nice and cute and so nostalgic, because it reminded me when I used to live in Istanbul. So I actually don't even remember why we did this walk and talk, but I remember oh, I wish we had this kind of neighborhood here in Trondheim and I could be part of this community as well. So maybe it was not the purpose of the walk and talk, but this is how I recall it right now. And I just wanted to share this with you because like months later is very different maybe than your initial aims.
Yeah, I really find it really interesting, Emmy, your comments. Is similar also for me. I have lived also in also in Italy 3 years. When I look back, the memories that I remember mostly they are belonging to the times where I'm in an activity, either sportive or walking, trekking. Those times one is very active and remember those moments, and the discussions are mostly very interesting. One other aspect I would like to add is, for example, when I come back to the Euroturk activities, when we have discussions, we have the same circle of people. It would be also interesting on our side, and the receiver side, to have an objective view. For example, if we are discussing a local problem, and an objective person from outside can provide very interesting and creative ideas. So, or himself or herself be inspired by the discussion and learn something. So it is very two-way benefit, I think. Yeah, thank you.
Great, thank you. I think this is the opportunity where we can now also pass it on to the other group so they can share what they've captured.
First of all, thank you all the participants actually joining. I think we all actually are reaching all the 3 questions. I'm not introduce that one more time. So what we got from the first question of the current activities, we gathered all type of the current activities, but we can actually make that as different type. First, it is linked to the traditional kind of teaching activities, like the specific course, linked to specific course, and they already actually use a similar approach to walk talk for the field work and meeting with local stakeholders and communities, and both from different universities. And also there has another type of this kind of activity, walk talk. It's kind of the big conference and all the other kind of this kind of university level kind of activities, and they organize these tours and visiting. and case areas to study with, and this is actually another type. We also have this, and Euroturk actually colleagues talking about the different type. Different type is actually the walk talk embedded into their local community or kind of their networking activities, and this is actually more into kind of use as a tool for bonding, for networking, and organizing different activities. It's not actually as extended definition of the walk talk. It's not only walk. It's also can be eating, can be a chatting, can be a playing. So because the talk can be actually initiating the different scenarios, the different actually activities, not only walk. I think this is also actually for us a big inspiration. So we don't need to actually we can extend the meaning of walk. I think walk is just directly walk into the environment or kind of a case we wanted to, but the meaning of the walk can be a list of the activities, chatting, eating, dancing, and amusing together. So I think it's also can be the way. Regarding on the second question, it's a little bit of a challenge, I must say, and the two different groups actually are quite kind of have a little bit challenge of doing that. But one thing actually what we're thinking is we should actually from two groups has similarities. It is actually need the substantial results. This kind of can be quantified. The second group actually talking about the quantified and the kind of big impacts, which is can be a shows advantage and compare with these conventional tools and this actually walk talk has a unique advantage. For example, actually involve the social stakeholders into university activities and created this win-win situation, or this kind of a social impacts can be increased a lot compared with the traditional kind of methodologies we're using at the university. So those sort of things I think it can be. But of course, this is kind of a certain methodology. And another actually from the group 1 or 2, I think it's we also actually mentioned about we also need to know what is the traditional kind of university activities. For example, there has a new employees joining us, have this kind of or visiting scholars and join the visiting the university and. So they probably need a tour of the city or kind of this immigration of new students. I think it's also can be a kind of a way. So align with kind of university activities, existing ones, and the routine. So maybe we can make suggestions. So what kind of activities at a university can be aligned with or can be used. Use actually walk talk as a tool, as a method. I think this is also actually we can pitch to the pitch to this kind of leadership and ask them to adapt more and or use more the kind of a walk talk. The last part, I think it is actually we're a little bit kind of talking about first group discussion is talking about this kind of code and the standardization is means actually we are want to be produce this kind of a toolbox, like the guideline or handbook, how to initiate this different type of the walk talk activities towards a different target group, a different case and different activity. For example, it is education activity, or it is research activity, or it is actually kind of networking activities. So different nature of activities, perhaps has a different kind of way of design the walk talk, and how to reach the local stakeholders, how to actually design it, and what kind of atmosphere, learning environment you want to create, and how actually to work with local stakeholders. Those sort of things need to be kind of reached or kind of need to be guided. If we have such a manual, such kind of a toolbox, and to initiate the design this kind of walk talk, I think it's quite important. In the second group, we got a lot of insights. I think. First of all, the walk talk is not only designed by scholars, by universities. This is need to be created as a co-ownership with local stakeholders. So in order to do that, first of all, we should use the common language. People understand each other to formalize this kind of a team between the scholars and the university. And also the local stakeholders, local community, and the relevant stakeholders, we understand each other. We have a common understanding of walk talk, and we co-design the activity. We formalize this kind of a program and the list of the activities together. So this is actually a really, really important. And also actually both groups are also talking about the flexibility, because the scenarios for the walk talk is quite different. So we have to actually facing actually different scenarios, different activities, different group of people. We probably has to be actually be a kind of use this approach in the flexible kind of way. So leave the space of flexibility is also actually quite important. I think this is also the other thing is it is actually a mutual communication and mutual understanding. So we need standing on these impacts, both for us, like educator working at universities, scholars working at universities, and also local community and the local society. What is their kind of taking points or kind of their substantial impacts can be actually get from this kind of work talk. This is also actually something we should actually think about how to actually set up this work talk. So this is actually something I learned from this set of the discussions. Stefan, all the other colleagues, actually, if you want to add more, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that there was some discussion within one group and also like, different opinions between the groups, especially concerning the point of standardization of walk and talk. I mean, it's for trying to get this more institutionalized. I mean, if that's the goal, you have to have something more or less standardized. But I mean, the strength of the walk and talk is that it can be adapted. It can be, as you said, just like 2 or 3 people casually walking. It can also be used not just by academia, but also other relevant stakeholders, also from within the society. And so it's a bit like squaring the circle to say, okay, we need something to show, especially, I mean, for our case, university leadership, to anchor the walk and talk. But I mean, its strength is that it is so adaptable, and also that the stories that it generates, and also not just the measurable outcomes are there. So that was one problem that we still are discussing. But I guess if we think about it more or show it in a nice way, this can also be used as an advantage.
Thank you, Stefan, actually, for this actually, and highlights this actually part of the discussion.
Go to the last point, wrapping up and next steps.
I think I can take over this. So we're not going to keep everyone here for too much longer. So just some final notes, information for us to share is that there is a report that's coming out of our experiences here. So we're preparing a report that covers not only the walk and talk experience from February this year, but also that will include insights from this report back and reflection session. So that will be made available and shared on our webpage. And also there is an intent to create from this a guide for others that are interested in looking at trying to implement walk and talks with more practical kind of tips in an easy to read manner. And that is a lot more understandable for the general reader and not just for academics. And as you guys have noticed, this event is being recorded. So the video recording will also be made available at a later date. So we encourage you to stay in touch and check out our webpage. I've included the email addresses for Stefan as well as myself, because we've been kind of the point of contact here. But Wang Yu, I'm sure, as well as Agnieszka, would be open to any inquiries. And on this final note, and on the dot at 8 o'clock, thank you everyone for your time here. We're extremely grateful that you've taken 2 hours out of your evening to come and share with us and learn with us. And we hope that you guys have taken something useful away as much as we have. So have a great evening and see you all soon at some point in person or online.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See you again.
Bye.
Bye-bye.